Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from Townhall.com dated October 28th. And it says, Scott Jennings lives rent-free in Lawrence O'Donnell's head as MSNBC host erupts on air. Now, Lawrence O'Donnell used to have the guise of being an honest newsman, but, I mean, you can see he's on MSNBC, so he's absolutely not anymore. So here's Scott Jennings, a picture of him, but let's go into the article itself, because it's always funny when the media decides to attack one of their fellow media members for who knows what, actually, just because they can. So Scott Jennings is the best person on CNN. Armed with facts, always fearless, and never afraid to break the fourth wall. He's fun to watch. Yeah, he kind of does like the Jim from The Office look at the camera thing quite a bit. It's pretty funny. He's also very, very good at what he does, and that's telling the truth and speaking common sense. For that, some on the left really don't like Jennings, and it seems Lawrence O'Donnell won't be joining the fan club anytime soon. And this is Lawrence O'Donnell here. And he just says something, I'm not going to play the video, but it says, CNN eagerly pays a Trump supporter to lie every day and night for Donald Trump. Now, notice Lawrence O'Donnell doesn't say what he lied about. He just said that he lied, and coming from Lawrence O'Donnell, remember he's on MSNBC, this is probably a very clear case of projection. So, I'll go to what it says here. It says, and now CNN eagerly pays a Trump supporter to lie on CNN every day and night for Donald Trump, O'Donnell said. CNN did this during the first Trump presidential campaign and presidency. CNN regularly paid Trump supporters to lie about Trump on CNN. And again, remember, he's not showing any actual examples. It says, but then CNN got a new head. The head of CNN for the last 3 years, hired by the Trump-supporting owner and operator of CNN, is an Englishman who thinks paying Scott Jennings to lie about Donald Trump is money very well spent, O'Donnell added. Scott Jennings, who used to be an aide to Senator Mitch McConnell, was not always a rabid, lying Trump supporter. And again, keep in mind, remember, Lawrence O'Donnell hasn't said a thing that Scott Jennings has said that is a lie. He hasn't disproved anything. He just says that he does it. Now, the thing with Lawrence O'Donnell saying that Scott Jennings is a liar is that right now, as Lawrence O'Donnell is saying this, he is lying. So he's too dense to know that, so let's keep going. It says, when he first started appearing on television, he was capable of criticizing some of the more extreme Trump positions. But Scott Jennings figured out where the money is and how he could get his own podcast and decided to become the J.D. Vance of CNN, O'Donnell continued. I don't even know what that means. Okay, like, I've never heard anything, I've never seen anybody that's critiqued Scott Jennings that says, like, his positions change. He always is like, if it's unfair, he says it is. If it's fair, you know, he calls it like it is, you know, and it has nothing to necessarily do with Trump, but he knows that CNN has a severe case of TDS as an organization, so he's decided, you know what, he's going to take it to him, and he's going to tell him what the actual truth is. So it says, here's how bad that television is that they make over there. The show that Scott Jennings frequents is the most is on opposite this program, and that show, on a good night, gets half of the audience of this show, which is probably true, but it's also the case that, like, the most watched show on CNN, I think, for entertainment value at least, is the show that Scott Jennings is on. It says, this program usually has an audience triple the size of the terrible, terrible television that Scott Jennings is delivering on the absurdly degraded version of CNN presided over by the man who thinks lying for Donald Trump on TV is an honorable pursuit and should be paid for by CNN, O'Donnell concluded. It says, hoo boy, there's a lot to unpack there, huh? Yeah, I would say so. This is, of course, O'Donnell, and we'll get to some of his actual lies about Trump shortly, offers no evidence of what these lies Jennings supposedly tells are, and instead resorts to what O'Donnell thinks are insults by comparing Jennings to Vice President J.D. Vance. I said president. It's probably going to be that way in 2028, left hard, so just keep that in mind. So Jennings doesn't need anyone to defend him, but here are just some of the lies Lawrence O'Donnell has said while MSNBC pays him to work for the network. So, yeah, when you accuse somebody else of lying, especially if you're on MSNBC, trust me when I say somebody's going to throw it right back in your face. So let's see what we have here. This is on August 22nd of this year, so just 3 months ago at the time I'm recording this. O'Donnell used a clip of Jimmy Stewart in Union Station to prove that President Trump didn't need to send the National Guard to crime-ridden D.C., yeah, Jimmy Stewart from 1930. I was going to say, like, wait, Jimmy Stewart from, like, the 40s? Like, the movie star? Or is this, like, a report? I'm like, is this the reporter that they have named Jimmy Stewart? But it looks like this tweet says here, yep, it's a movie from 1939. Yes, I guess that proves it. Like, what? It says, but his lies go back years, this is about Lawrence O'Donnell. It says, in 2017, he accused Vladimir Putin of gassing Syrians to help President Trump. He lied about California being the most underrepresented state in 2018, revealing he has no idea how our Republican government works. The next year, O'Donnell claimed Russian oligarchs co-signed loans for President Trump, something MSNBC producers could not verify, and something O'Donnell was forced to retract. He accused President Trump of killing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in 2020 to stop John Bolton from testifying before Congress. And that same year, O'Donnell claimed President Trump appointed Richard Grenell acting DNI at the behest of Putin. So you can see right here, there's links to every single one of those things that you can go ahead and look. So yeah, Lawrence O'Donnell, looks like you got a bit of a problem. And what you were saying about Scott Jennings was called projection, my man. Oh, there's more. It says in 2021, he lied about the LA Times interview with Caitlyn Jenner, who was running for governor in California. The next year, he called Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas out of control and a politician. He claimed President Trump showed extreme mental weakness in 2023. And some of these are just opinion statements. They're wrong, but they're not I wouldn't say lies necessarily. But anyway, it says during the election, he claimed the Electoral College was voter suppression. And on March 13th, he had to take a vacation because he was exhausted from covering President Trump, who wasn't even 2 months into his second term. So the guy's weak, besides just being a liar. It says, we guess lying about the president does get tiresome after a decade. It's clear O'Donnell feels threatened by Jennings, and that Jennings is right over the target because he's taking flack. Yep. It says, meanwhile, Jennings ended O'Donnell as only he can. And from Scott Jennings, he said, no, Lawrence, I do not have time to save your show. That's funny. It says, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a mic drop. And yeah, that really is. And good on Scott Jennings, because Lawrence O'Donnell is, in fact, a clown. And he is just, he's a weak man parading as an actual serious news anchor. Or I should say, yeah, that's what I said the right thing. Serious news anchor. That's what I meant to say. But anyway, I'm done here. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.